Okay everybody, I am working on a 57 Chevy, as you can see in the background, and I'm getting ready to put fuel injection on this thing, which is a Holly Sniper kit. And we have got a Aeromotive in-tank fuel pump setup that we're going to modify his aluminum tank. Let me show you his tank. So anyway, they're required to do a few things. The first of all is to drill out the hole in the tank. So it requires to have a 3 1/4 inch hole saw cutting tool. So we're going to cut into it, and let me show you how and where I'm starting at. Now, if you can see, I'm coming right here, and that whole apparatus is down inside this thing. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This ring here will have to go underneath. So that will have to be drilled, and then the holes drilled for the studs that I'm holding. But okay, so here's what we got going on here now. I'm going to use a drill with the 3 1/4 inch hole saw. We're going to drill in the top of this thing, and we're going to show you how I do it, which is simple. Anybody can do this, so not a big deal. Go. A little warm, but got to be careful. Now you see I cut the hole. Now we have to fit this ring down inside the hole, and then we have to, you can see it's got a collar right here, and that collar sits down in this hole, and it allows you to figure out where your holes are going to be. So you cut the hole. It's 3 1/4 inches. You go use this comes in the kit. It has a collar on it that fits down inside the hole, and what it does, it centers this, and you use it as a template for your studs to come through so you can drill your new holes. So, but in order to set it where you need to set it for the holes, you must figure out where your pump is going to exit the lines on your tank. In my case, I need them to exit this way, so that means this will go towards the sending unit. So I know I need my holes to be orientated like that. So I'd have to clock it so these two holes right here that are right there will be in line with my sending unit, or it'll be clocked the wrong way inside the tank, and my lines will exit the wrong way. So always remember that when you're doing your drilling. Keep that in mind. And then once it's in, you remove this. This goes in the tank, and this comes up from underneath the tank, and you just spiral it in like this. See, I just did that. There's an opening. The opening right here goes in between and this spirals in. And then as your holes are drilled, the studs will come up through the tank. That way they come in through the sending unit, and it allows you to bolt it into your tank and make it an in-sump tank. Pretty simple apparatus, but you still have to do it right to make it fit the application that you're doing it in. This is for a 57 Chevy, and it's an aftermarket tank that's aluminum. Now, if you're going to modify a factory stamped steel tank, either if you do it brand new, you ain't got to worry about gas or fumes being there and exploding. But if you're going to do one, like say you got a tank in a car and you want to modify it, best thing to do is drain that tank, turn it upside down, and set it out in the sun for a few days. Get all the liquid out, and the sun will bake out all the vapors, so you're not, potentially going to blow yourself up with the fumes or the vapors catching fire. So that's a big thing. Just make sure the fumes. If you really can't smell gas, there's probably no chances it's going to blow up on you. So just always keep in mind that's always there. So just please don't blow yourself up. But once the holes are drilled, I will pause and we will magic a video. I'll have my holes drilled and I'll show you how this comes through. Okay, everybody. Of course, I got the hole cut. This is the ring. There's 2 screws in the kit. You can put them in the hole and then just put them down here. I already drilled 2 holes in my template, but in order to keep it from bouncing around and help locate it, I put them 2 screws in. Now I can sit here and drill through each one and hold it. Okay, now that I got the holes drilled, you'll see that there's all kinds of debris going inside the tank. Just turn it upside down and blow some compressed air in it or vacuum it out, whatever, however you want to get all the shavings out. That's easy. I don't need to explain that. That's just common sense, however you get it out. Pull your ring off, and the bolts, you can see that the screws held it in place. I orientated my 2 in line with my sender so it allows my lines to come out. Always remember that. Just remember when you clock this thing, you can see there's holes right here, here, around your inlet outlet. So just always be in mind that there's 2 holes on either side of the vent, which should be directly in the middle. In my case, the vent is lining up with the sending unit. Just remember that. Now, of course, you got to set the gauge, the depth of it, and everything else, but you still got to get this portion done first, because it's most vital. Now, say you got a factory tank with a rib in it or a dip. If you notice, the template's got a cutout. If you see it, you can see the cutout right there, and that's made to go where a rib would go up or down or whatever. They tell you in the instructions how to do all that. Luckily, I'm dealing with a flat tank, and I ain't got to do all that thought process. But now I got to put the ring in underneath, bring it through, and then hopefully hold it in place with a couple nuts. But I need to set the gauge, my depth first, before I bring the ring through. Okay, everybody, we're going to measure the depth of this tank. Typically, just take a 12-inch straight edge or a ruler or whatever. I'm going to measure down, and it's looking like it's going to be somewhere around right at 10 inches. So you're supposed to take the sending unit, the housing, and measure from the base, not the foam, but the base, to the bottom of your hanger, which that roughly puts me just above this tang right here. So I really need to cut it right here. And what's going to happen is, once I cut this tang off, it's going to allow me to fasten the fuel pump to this, and the strainer must almost hit the bottom. I mean, really, if it's just barely kissing the bottom of the tank, the better off you are. You do not want fuel to be starved at the pump. It will burn these pumps up. That's just, they're designed to be submerged. The fuel keeps them running cooler, keeps them lubricated. Believe it or not, it's fuel, yes, but that's what it's designed to do. So just always make sure that that's, you know, in your thought process of when you're gauging these tanks. Always remember, measure twice, cut once, okay? Okay, everybody, I done cut the piece off the bottom of it. Look here. That's the piece right there, coming off the bottom. You cut it to length. No rocket science here. Now you gotta take your fuel pump and you gotta allow it to bolt to the bottom. It goes in these little cups. If you notice, it's got like a U right here, and it sits right there, and it'll get strapped in. Then you put your filter on the bottom. Okay, everybody. All right, I'm back to. I put the insert in like I showed you how to clock it and slide it around, and twist it around, and get it inside the hole. Well, now you'll still have a problem if the holes are slightly off drilled to pull them all the way up where they need to be. You can see the height of this. That it's still down a little bit. So I take some of these and I put in there. Now they're all level, sticking up, so this can be mounted with the foam. See the foam? Now the foam would go in here like this, push down nice and tight. And then once you mount this inside here, you draw the foam down so it squeezes the foam. It makes a sealed, you know, cavity. But so far I'm well on my way. Now I'm going to mount the pump and put the strainer on and wire it up, and then I'll drop it in the unit. I've already checked my depth, like I was showing before. It come up to roughly 10 inches or so. So you need the strainer to sit below, but before you tighten it up, you want to kind of make sure, recheck your depth real quick, again from here to here. Just know you're somewhere in the area when you squeeze this down. That way you know where you're at with it being at the bottom of the tank. It really needs to stay at the bottom so it picks up all the fuel it can. And this one is baffled. There is a dam inside this side and this side, and it keeps the fuel concentrated to the middle of the tank. So if you're parked on a hill or whatever, it tries to keep it concentrated well. I also have to install this, and that keeps a lot of debris from being sucked up into the pump and slushing. So that's what this is for. But hang tight. All right, here's another little technical thing with the measurement. I'm going to drop this all the way down, and I am at the top of the surface. I'm at 10 inches. But the foam is every bit of a ½ inch. Now they want you to clamp that bad boy as tight as you can get it, so it doesn't, leak or nothing like that. So. And besides, an aluminum tank will expand and contract as the temperature changes outside along with the fuel. So, but I'm measuring out roughly 10½ inches at the top of the foam. So it's probably a good thing to say, I'm going to collapse it every bit of a quarter of an inch, easy. Now it might collapse all the way, but it's not going to collapse completely to the 10 inches. It's impossible, because you have a foam element in between it. So there's no way you can collapse it. You'll squeeze it out if that were the case. So leave about a quarter of an inch-ish. That way it won't be at the total bottom. It Should be very, very close though, but just know that when you're measuring that you're going to have a little bit of variance. You're not going to be able to measure completely to the top if you're trying to get your depth, because it's going to change when you squeeze it down. So just keep that in mind. All right, everybody, so here's the finished product. If you look, got the sending unit right here, and got the fuel pump set up right here. And of course I got to route the return lines on this side here so it comes around. Then it's got a nice little vent here in the middle, and then the outlet for pressure comes around this way. So and then of course there's a vent right here for the filler neck, so if you overfill it, it has a way to dump back in the tank. But pretty much it's straightforward. You can see what I was working with, and I got to block off these two down here. But this is a aluminum tank for a 57 Chevy that we're going to put, a Holly fuel injection, a sniper kit on it. And he had invested so much money in this tank, but so we converted it for a fuel injection, which is the smart way to go, really. I mean, he already had the initial investment, spent good money on an aluminum tank, so why not? And plus it's got a dedicated fuel level sending on its own, so we don't have to worry about it with this type of Aeromotive system. So works out pretty good. You can see what it is, and there's the cars going in. Pretty nice car, but thanks for watching.